Head football coach AJ Cisco is here with us. Coach, how are you?
I'm good, man. It's week 4. Thanks for having me again.
Yeah, 3-0. Obviously a good game last week. I want to start off, though, since we are going to have fans on Friday night. I noticed y'all posted it up to the Facebook page, but if you want to let folks know what the situation is going to be for tickets coming up tomorrow night.
So all of our kids, our football players, Deming's football players, were allotted 6 tickets apiece. They took that number off the total tickets allotted for that stadium at 25% capacity, and we are somewhere around 700 tickets will be sold for general admission. Gates open at 6. All that information is on our Facebook page for Tiger football. You can buy reserve seating and pay the $9 for reserve seating, but those are very limited based on how many we got available.
Okay, so tickets are available. That's 700. That is definitely plenty for folks, but obviously if you are desperate to get into the game, getting in line early would not hurt your cause.
And then you'll get to pick where you want to sit at and all those things. And this might be our only chance to have a home game this year. We're still waiting to figure out what happens in that bowl week next week. So this might be the only chance that people get to come see the Tigers play this year.
Yeah, absolutely. So get out there, support your Tigers, and support your 3-0 Tigers. Coach, it was Silver obviously was in a different situation, not having played a game yet this season, but I felt like they gave you guys a good game on Saturday.
They did. They and I told their coaches after the game, I said, your kids played hard. That was something they were kind of concerned about, is they know what we're going to bring to the table. We're going to be physical, and we're going to punch people in the mouth, and they're kind of unsure of how their kids would respond to it. And their kids never quit playing. They played hard. They lined up every play, even though they knew they were about to get punched in the face again, and kept playing hard. So kudos to those guys, those kids. That's a young group that's going to be pretty talented and pretty good here in the near future.
Absolutely. I know the guys up in the press box were saying they were sophomores and freshmen and juniors pretty much across the board.
Yeah, I believe they only had 5 seniors or something like that. I mean, it's a young group, and that was their first true test of playing somebody really physical, and they rose to the challenge.
Yeah. I want to start with defense because, again, how mad were the kids that they let that touchdown at the end of the game?
Yeah, I think the coaches were more upset than the kids. That was just a lack of focus. It's one of those things, you're not in those situations very often where people are trying to put up a last-second point in a meaningless, the score's kind of meaningless. So, but it's a learning lesson for our kids that we got to play every snap. Yeah. And that shutout was big for us because we haven't had one in a long time against a quality opponent, and that would have been huge for us and confidence going forward. But kudos Coach Felsetti and his staff, another very good defensive game plan, executed well by our kids. Kids played hard. I was proud of our kids defensively and how they responded from Ruidoso the week before and the adversity that we faced then. So, once again, kudos those kids playing their tails off and making it a game for us and keeping us offense when we don't have drives and we don't sustain drives, making sure that we get turnovers and get back on the field.
And one thing we talked a lot about was, kids getting a chance to put some stuff on tape and maybe give themselves an opportunity to play in college. If there's a guy that I feel like has put some stuff on tape in the last 2 weeks, Austin LaSalle, my goodness, that interception, he reads the play perfectly and goes out there and covers the quarterback. Austin, again, just had a great game for you guys.
It's so cool for that kid, too, man. Yeah. That kid is so much fun to be around at practice. We joke around, he kind of doesn't shut up now. So it's fun. He talks a lot. I'm so happy for that kid, and he's fun to watch. And we talk to the teams that we're going to play, and he's one of the first kids that kind of pops off on film is that kid and his motor, and it doesn't stop. Likes violence, likes being physical, and he's a really good athlete and does a lot of really good things for us.
Yeah, Damon Mayberry, forces a fumble and recovers it, and just multiple guys that I think that's maybe something that's been missing from Tiger defense in the last few seasons is playmaking. Forcing fumbles, interceptions. This defense has that attribute to them, don't they?
We've done a good job now, and part of that I can't take all the credit for our defense. As part of that is we're playing teams and they're in the same boat as us, and only had minimal weeks to prepare, and so you see the sloppy football, and it's all around the state. But our kids are taking advantage of those opportunities when we get that opportunity and have that situation arise for us. So kudos to our kids. It's fun to watch them. We counted this morning. I think we returned 7 starters on defense next year. We're really young, very green, so it's exciting for that. But that's all goes to our defensive staff and how hard they prepare our kids and the importance of making sure. We tell our kids all the time, defense wins championships. Yeah. Obviously, win you a couple games. Defense is going to get us to play in November and December.
Yeah. I mentioned Damon and Austin. Were there any other guys that really stood out to you on defense from this last week?
Defensive line-wise, I thought they did a good job. Edgar Perez, he's a little tiny kid that goes in there and causes problems just because he's so quick and gets after. Mason Tripp played pretty well. Our kids bounced back. They faced a lot of adversity on Saturday that was very upsetting for us as coaches on the sideline.
Yeah.
And they never stopped and kept plugging along. I thought Ray played an okay game. He had one real bad break on a pass play. that smoked us. But other than that, I mean, that entire group, they play together. It's cool to watch them play and rally around each other.
Offensively, obviously, I mean, you guys, again, wanted to run the football a lot and were able to do that. The offensive line, did you feel, from watching the game, do you feel like they had a good game?
Yeah, that's an improvement from where we were at against Ruidoso. And what we told you and what we've talked about from that week 1 against Bloomfield is to get better every week. And I felt we did that last Saturday against Silver. Came out different defense than we practiced for the entire week, so that's part of our growing up. We don't make any bones about what we're going to do. I mean, everybody knows we're going to line up and hand the ball off and go try to get you. So I thought our offensive line did a really good job. I mean, and you got to tip your hat to those guys. When you have an 11-minute drive, I mean, those things are awesome. And those are few and far between, but that's our whole mindset offensively, is just keep pounding you and pounding you and pounding you. And eventually it wears on you. In that fourth quarter, I mean, those legs get heavy from taking on those blocks, and we're not small up front. And those kids get tired of tackling Sean every now and then.
Yeah, well, and I think more importantly, I mean, it's still a football game at the start of the third quarter. It's a 10-0 game. And, I mean, that was just a life-sucking sort of drive that you guys put out there. I mean, I haven't seen very many quarter-long drives. I'm sure as a coach and a player, you haven't seen that many kind of those kind of drives.
We've had it a couple of times in the places I've been at, but they're few and far between. And when you get those, they're soul-crushing. If you can get those, and my head coaches around the state asked me, were you trying to do that? No, we just got tackled in bounds every play.
Yeah.
And
there were some penalties that the clock started again and things like that.
It all kind of works out that way. I told our kids on the bus ride home, I said, I was upset we scored in the third quarter. I wanted to go into the fourth quarter. And so we took the entire quarter. But and that's where we're at as a program, is we get into those situations and that kind of just finished the game off right there in one drive. And that game was done, essentially going to the fourth quarter, and they haven't touched the ball yet.
Yeah, that's definitely hard for the other team to come back from. And in terms of the passing game, what did you see? What did you feel like there needed to be improvement from? Because, I mean, you guys didn't pass the ball a ton, but you obviously tried to take advantage of some spots.
Yeah, Mello made a great play on that one touchdown pass. And then he throws another great ball on the touchdown pass to Audette. Those are huge for us. There's some things we got to do. We got to get better up front in pass pro and do some better things there, and that's what we focus on this week. But when we take our shots, we're going to take our shots, and Melo's done a good job of getting us a chance to be successful in doing those things. And our kids have all our little tiny receivers running around. I'm going to miss that whole group because it's incredible. You can tell them one thing and they know it, and then you don't have to coach them ever again. It's locked in on that group, and there's 4 or 5 seniors out there that are fun to coach. So we're going to get better, and hopefully we don't have to throw it a whole lot on Friday, but when we do, we're going to hopefully take advantage of it.
Yeah, and I will say, I thought you've seen Anthony's poise get better from week to week. Some of the scrambles he made, I mean, one was a 1-yard gain, but it could have been a 5-6 yard loss, and then he picked up 11 or 12 yards on a play that could have, again, been a quarterback sack.
And he bails us out, and that's his athletic ability, and then you can see what he can do with his arm talent and mentally. I mean, he's a really smart kid in the classroom, and that helps translate over to the football field.
Well, you guys play Deming this week. This has turned into, I almost feel like a little bit of a rivalry game between Alamo and Deming. There's a little bit of chippiness. There's, and it's gone back for years and years before you were even here, kind of situation. Yeah. So, I would imagine the kids are excited to get out there and play this one, but maybe just because it's at home.
No, and we've talked all week about our kids. The performance we had last year against Deming was not an indication of the kind of football team we had last year. I mean, that was a complete beatdown, and kudos to Deming for coming here and just putting a thumping on us. But our kids did not respond. We didn't play well. The old saying is, get off the bus ready to play. We didn't get out of our cars ready to play that night, and Deming took advantage of it. Now we bounced back and played a little bit better towards the second half, but that one sticks in the back of your throat a little bit. So we've been reminding our kids about that. I don't know if it's so much that we're amped up to go and play them again or whatnot. Our kids are just excited to play week 4.
Yeah,
I mean, we're one of the few teams that are still going, that haven't missed a game, got to get to this point. And that's a credit to our kids, our program, our staff, of doing everything we can to get to week 4. And we're going to get to week 4 tomorrow night. And it's exciting. We're going to play a quality opponent in Deming. Coach Simmons and his staff do a good job. They graduated their 2 really talented speed kids from last year, but we're not going to make them look small up front. They are good-sized kids up front, very physical. So it's going to be. I mean, they're the best team we played all year so far.
Yeah, and another thing as well is, you guys do at least have some things to look at in order to prepare for them. I mean, they've got 2 games under their belt. Probably last week is a better indication of what you'll see. You'll be able to prepare for that.
Oh, yeah, and they gave Mayfield all they wanted. I mean, it was not the score says 28-7, but it wasn't a 28-7 ball game. That was a close game. And Deming got after him defensively and then had some success offensively and struggled at times, but very big up front, very physical. Don't have a whole lot of numbers. I want to say they only play about 16 kids. So depth is an issue for them. But those kids that play are good. They're talented. They're bought into that program. They're loyal to Coach Simmons. They're loyal to that school. And we're in for a dogfight tomorrow night. It's going to be exciting.
And, obviously the hope is to remain undefeated. I mean, the goal is there. I know we talked about at the start of the season is, you guys wanted to win all 5 of your games that were possible. And, I mean, that goal is within reach right now. I mean, it's only 2 games away for you now.
It is, and we're focused on being 4-0 after this weekend. We got to play really well against Deming and not shoot ourselves in the foot. And we go back and watch last year's game. We had success offensively, and then we found ways to just kill drives, whether it was penalties, turnovers. We had a real bad turnover to start a drive, went down 16-0, fumbled the first possession. And Deming scores now 24-0. Throw a pick driving in the second quarter. Got down to the 1 in the second quarter and got a penalty, back to sub, didn't score. I mean, we found ways to just kill drives last year against these guys. And Deming got after us, and they were creative more. They came from stunts and all those things that caused issues for us up front. But our goal is to be 4-0 after this week, and then, I mean, we don't even know we're playing week 5. So
not really any way to prepare for it. Yeah. There's no way to look past this week because y'all have no idea what's coming up next week.
No, and you can sit there and try to do the matching game and figure out who needs to play who, and the NMA says they want to get you out of your regions. Well, out of our region is just back into our normal district.
Yeah.
It'd be cool for our kids to play somebody new. You get to go play somebody from Farmington and somebody up north that we don't get to see very often. That'd be interesting, but that's out of our hands. That's the NMA, and once they come down Saturday afternoon and say, hey, this year playing, we're going to strap it up and get prepared for that game. But our focus is to get ready for tomorrow night and play Deming.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a little bit y'all that would like to play Artesia or Goddard or Roswell this year, though.
Yeah, no, and we told our kids from day one we want to be 4-0, and then in that week 5, if we're going to get the big dog, let's take on the big dogs.
Yeah,
because that's our goal as this program is we eventually got to be the big dog. And we've talked to our kids all year. We got to be the big dog and act like the big dog. And everything we do, from how we dress to how we show up to practice, how we lift weights, how we act in the classroom, we got to be – everything we do has to be a first-class program if we want to compete with those guys and be those guys. And so our kids have done a good job for 4 weeks so far. But, I mean, whoever they give us, and hopefully it's one of those 3 or the Farmington schools. There's a lot of teams. I mean, we're up there in the top 5 in the state. So hopefully we get to take on one of those guys and see where we end up at the end of the year.
Yeah, we certainly hope that's going to be a fun game next week. And I'm sure more than anything, I know they've had people that have traveled to their games over the last few weeks. Certainly Rodoso was just up the road, but to finally get to perform at Tiger Stadium for the first time this year, these guys got to be super pumped for that.
They are, and that's a cool deal for us. This will be our only home game, and maybe if the chips fall in the line correctly, that we get another home game next week, but that's out of our hands. So we're going to treat this like our last home game. One thing we're not going to do is we're not going to do a senior night tomorrow night. We're going to set a separate date in April and kind of do our own thing where we can get everybody in. The last thing I'd ever want to have happen is a family member who wants to watch their kid on a senior night because we're at capacity get turned away at the gate. So we're going to do something special for our kids later on in April when we have our own night. Nothing else is going on, but it's a special night for our kids, especially this group of seniors that has been loyal to this program, bought in for 4 years, to get at least one more night to get under the lights in a great community like this place and play in a great stadium and hopefully play really well.
And actually get to ring that victory bell. You guys have not been able to do it in front of fans this year, even though you've won 3 games.
Yeah, we got the victory bell thing. We started last year when we get back from road games. We get off the bus, our kids immediately just go start ringing that victory bell so you can hear it at night. But hopefully, if we play well and make the plays we need to, that we'll get to do that in front of those fans tomorrow night and celebrate.
All right. Any shout-outs we need to get in before we get out of here?
No, I could give you a couple. I told them I wouldn't do it, but my boys in Hatch had a tough one last week. So I got to take care of 2 kids that I coach. They're OC and DC. Coach Chavis, Coach Harrison. They got a big game this week, rivalry game against Tier C, so they need to bounce back. If not, I told them I'd call them out next week.
Okay, fair enough.
For not being as nice.
Coach, good luck tomorrow. We appreciate you coming in.
I appreciate it, man. Thanks. Go Tigers.